Regulus Black. He is a character that we never met, but is a character that intrigued Harry Potter fans way more than expected. Today, I'm going to tell you the story about some of the most brilliant detective work in the wizarding world. How Regulus Arcturus Black, or RAB, uncovered Lord Voldemort's darkest secret and became the first person to discover that the Dark Lord had made a Horcrux. This is a mystery that has never been explained in the Harry Potter books, nor in Harry Potter lore, which really surprised me, so I'm going to try to answer it. By combining all of the evidence from the books, looking at some of J.K. Rowling's interviews, and using the vast Harry Potter knowledge that I have gained over the last 8 years of running this channel, I'm going to piece together the full timeline of how a young Death Eater became the Dark Lord's greatest threat. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and sharing. It will greatly help to grow and sustain the channel. And if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, and you can also follow me on all of my other social medias, all of which are linked down below, and all of which house similar content that I make here on this channel. Now that I've said that, let's get into it. Regulus Arcturus Black was raised in a pureblood family who idolized Lord Voldemort. Many in the family became Death Eaters, and those that didn't fully supported Voldemort's cause. Coming from a family like this, Regulus must have been surrounded by knowledge of dark magic that most wizards would never encounter. I imagine the Blacks had a massive library in their mansion, and I'd be willing to bet that it was not filled with fairy tales or Quidditch guides. Unlike the library at Hogwarts that had restrictions, I'm sure the Blacks' collection spanned centuries of the darkest magical research, books on deadly potions, dark creatures, forbidden curses, and yes, probably references to Horcruxes. While his brother Sirius rejected this side of the family, Regulus heavily leaned into it. To me, this signals that he would be able to recognize the signs of the darkest magic imaginable, having a baseline that even brilliant wizards like Hermione Granger wouldn't have. From what we know, Regulus was very smart, and being part of the Black family, he inherited the family's good looks. Their family produced some of the most attractive characters in the Harry Potter series. Regulus never pursued any romantic interests though, but maybe he would have had more confidence to do so had he been able to wear fragrances that he picked out. Scentbird is a company that allows you to easily do this at an affordable price. It easily allows you to make a connection through non-verbal communication. I myself use their monthly subscription to get 4 fragrances every single month, and I've used all of them for different occasions. Gold by Commodity, which has a vanilla and benzoin combination, has been my more casual and most used scent I got this month. Meanwhile, Moonbear by Sanctuary has been a good fragrance to wear when going out to parties or weddings, the Moonlight Lavender ingredient giving it a calming scent that always helps me calm down before a lot of socialization. One of the standout fragrances I got this month was F Mondays by Confessions of Rebel, which I've used on date nights with my wife, and it's our personal favorite of those that I got this month. The mixture of citrus, apple, and sandalwood made this one tie together with a very pleasing scent. Queer Nalam by Ultra Materi is another distinguished fragrance that I've switched out for all different occasions, which ingredients include violet leaf and leather, which gives it a very unique smell that I'm loving. Scentbird is a company that stands out because it's affordable. You can try out many different scents without having to pay a ton of money for a full bottle that can be very pricey. Their smaller packaging also makes it super convenient to take it on the go. I just traveled for a wedding, and the small but very aesthetically pleasing vials were a game changer while packing, saving me so much extra room for other necessities I needed. Not only does Scentbird allow you to save money, but it also allows you to try many different fragrances, increasing the chance that you find the perfect scent that fits you, your personality, and any occasion that life throws at you. They even have a quiz that helps you narrow it down. And they don't just have unknown brands that nobody's heard of. Scentbird has high quality brands that you would find in any upscale store. Use code MOVIEFLAME2 or scan the QR code to get 55% off your first month at Scentbird. Thank you, Scentbird. Now back to the video. When Regulus was 16, he followed in many of his family members' footsteps and took on the Dark Mark to join Voldemort's inner circle. This was something that his parents were very proud of. I bet my parents thought Regulus was a right little hero for joining up at first. Being in Voldemort's army, it allowed Regulus to interact with the Dark Lord himself. Tom Riddle had always been brilliant, but he'd also been insufferably arrogant. He loved bragging of his power. which J.K. Rowling actually addressed in an interview from 2007, right around the time that the final book, The Deathly Hallows, came out. She said that Voldemort often dropped what she called oblique hints about his Horcruxes to his followers. And we saw him do this several times in the 7 books. There was one quote in the graveyard during the Goblet of Fire. "I, who have gone further than anybody along the path that leads to immortality, you know my goal, to conquer death." This proves that Voldemort not only discusses his search of dark magic, but that his Death Eaters are actually aware that he is using dark magic to try to attain immortality. And another example is when he bragged about his pursuit into the darkest forms of magic to his literal enemy Dumbledore. "I have pushed the boundaries of magic further perhaps than they have ever been pushed." So it's safe to say that Voldemort does not shy away from hinting about his Horcruxes, and given that Regulus most likely read about them at least once in his life, he could probably put 2 and 2 together. He realized that Voldemort's boasts about conquering death weren't just metaphorical, they were literal. I wouldn't even be surprised if Regulus went back to his family's collection of dark magic texts and confirmed his belief. The more Regulus would have read, the more certain he would have become that this was Voldemort's secret, that he had made a Horcrux. Now, I want to address something. Fans have fantasized Regulus's character, saying he was misunderstood, he was always a good person, or that his parents forced him to become a Death Eater. But all of that is just fan fictions and headcanons that are not part of J.K. Rowling's story. In the text, we actually have no idea why he turned on Voldemort. Sirius said that he panicked and tried to leave, but panicking is not something I would associate with Regulus's character, who showed nothing but bravery and determination. Some of those headcanons are theories that could be right though. He might have never wanted to become a Death Eater, he might have not believed in the cause, he might have joined just to make his parents happy. He very well could have disliked Voldemort from the start, and thus is why he wanted to take him down. I do have another idea though. In the text, we know that Voldemort asked Regulus to borrow his family's house elf Kreacher. It's possible that Regulus did not know what Voldemort was using Kreacher to do, and what he was making him do was to test the protections around his Locket Horcrux in the cave. Then, when Regulus found out what had happened to Kreacher and what Voldemort put him through, he might have decided to turn on the Dark Lord for his mistreatment of the elf he cared for, because in the text, Regulus and Kreacher did have a bond. This might have made Regulus realize that he was serving a monster who saw everyone, pureblood or mudblood, wizard or house elf, as disposable tools, and he did not want to be a part of it anymore. If that's the case, when Kreacher gave him the details of what had happened, Regulus might have remembered Voldemort's boasts about being immortal and realized that the locket he hid was a Horcrux. Why else would he put such fortification around a simple piece of jewelry, even if it did belong to Salazar Slytherin himself? Thus, Regulus wanted revenge on Voldemort for hurting Kreacher. Regulus was smart enough to know though that he could not take on Voldemort directly. If he was going to strike back against Voldemort, it would have to be going after his Horcrux. Now that he knew exactly how to get through the defenses thanks to Kreacher, he realized that he had a great chance of getting through these protections. Regulus probably studied every detail of what happened to Kreacher in that cave. The blood sacrifice, the boat ride across the underground lake, the potion that would have to be consumed, and the army of Inferi in its depths. Regulus knew what this mission meant. He knew he was not going to return. So he prepared a fake locket, hoping to buy time before Voldemort realized what had happened. He then wrote a letter housed inside the locket that said, "To the Dark Lord, I know I will be dead long before you read this, but I want you to know that it was I who discovered your secret. I have stolen the real Horcrux and intend to destroy it as soon as I can. I face death in the hope that when you meet your match, you will be mortal once more. R.I.B." This letter proves that he wanted to get revenge on Voldemort for something. He ensured that Voldemort knew exactly who was behind this attack on this piece of his soul, and this very well could have been caused by his anger at the Dark Lord for his treatment of his house elf. This seems more logical than just saying he wanted to stop Voldemort because he was a good person all along. It's clear that he had malicious intent when going through with this mission. It wasn't just a good deed. This seemed personal. And this is even more clear when we listen to what Kreacher had to say. When the time for the mission came, Kreacher said that his master was strange and not how he usually was. He was disturbed in his mind. When they got to the cave, Regulus used Kreacher's knowledge to get through the protections, as the potion burned through his system, causing visions of his worst fears and memories. Regulus kept his focus on the mission. When he collapsed, Kreacher followed his master's orders, not to fetch him water from the lake, but to take the real locket and leave immediately. Regulus knew what would happen. The Inferi would rise from the lake and drag him down into the dark water. He would die just as Voldemort had planned for Kreacher to die. If I'm correct, when Voldemort hurt Kreacher, he didn't just lose a Death Eater. He created his own worst enemy, someone with the knowledge to understand his secrets, with the intelligence to uncover his plans, and the courage to act against him. Unfortunately, Regulus did not know that Voldemort had made other Horcruxes besides just the locket. But luckily for him, Harry Potter did, and he continued and finished the job that Regulus had started. And that, my friends, is how I think Regulus Octurus Black, or RAB, figured out that Voldemort had a Horcrux. Let me know in the comments below what you think of my theory, and also just Regulus as a character in general. I think he's a really fascinating character. Thank you again to Scentbird for sponsoring this video. Again, you can scan the QR code on the screen or use code MovieFlame2 for 55% off your first month. That's all I have for you guys today though. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.